What's going on, y'all? We got a small little drive today. Happy Sunday. We're stripping pretty much a bathroom, a little locker room, and a couple stalls. Stay tuned for the ending results. Yes, sir. Alright guys, so this is the first step of stripping and waxing. First, you make sure all the contents are off the floor, and then you put the stripping agent upon the floor. You allow it 15 to 20 minutes to dwell. However, sometimes you might need longer, depending on the traffic, the severity of how bad the wax buildup is, and so on and so forth. And then after that dwell time, you come in with a 175. We have a bulldozer pad. We like bulldozer pads more than black pads because they're more aggressive. However, black, bulldozer, they all do the same thing. Yes, sir. So pretty much this is the first step in stripping and waxing VCT flooring. Yes, sir. Stay tuned. You have your 175. We have 2 weights on there, which allows us to be more aggressive. This is the Dominator pad. We love the weights because it secures you not have to have multiple passes. Granted, it's either you use more stripper, which costs more, or you use more pads. We rather use more pads because they're more efficient and they cut faster. And then another good tip is you want to make sure that every single pass that you do hits between 0 and 2 o'clock, because this is the most aggressive hit. This is the most aggressive passes. The entire buffer still scrubs and still strips, but however, the more aggressive part is on the right hand side between 0 and 2 o'clock. Alrighty, stay tuned. Guys, so this has all been stripped down in areas that the buffer can reach. Let's talk about the next step, stripping. Stripping is tight areas, corners, nooks, crevices. This is going to be the #1 place that you might not get paid. Why? Your client, that's the first place they will look. Everyone sees the middle of the floor, it can look great, but it's all a matter about the edges. You see how that buffer could not get back there? So now, what we do is we use the middle of the Dominator pad. We have a smaller scraper and another scraper. All right, stay tuned. Now check out this side, and you notice how, I still gotta touch it up a little bit, but you see, this Dominator pad took up some stuff. You have all this that was over there in that corner. I still have to hit this side, but this is how you properly edge. You always wanna make sure that you have a small little squirt bottle with stripper, just because although you put it in that area, as you can see, it traveled all over, just depending on the angle or the floor or however it's set up. There could be slips and slopes. So make sure that you always prepare with at least these 3 things that make your life a lot easier. And you always want to make sure that you leave the floor wet, makes it easier. And then if you do leave it wet, make sure that you go behind it with the buffer, so that way you keep the water, you know, from drying and setting. Because then if you let the stripper set on the floor, you have a bigger problem. All right, guys, and for our last and final step before we get ready to start waxing is the extraction. This is one of the most prevalent processes in the entire steps. Just because if you leave this and it dries, you just got yourself in trouble, and you'll have to re-strip it. And then also, this tells you whether or not you've gotten all the wax off the floor or not. So hope this answers your questions. Stay tuned. All right, guys, so here we are getting ready to wax. So I didn't even touch on the stuff that we're using. So we use multiple different things. So we use the Ryobi, pretty much pressure sprayer. We also use the tank. There's multiple different ways, like I learned a long time ago with a mop bucket and pretty much a mop head. Same with how you apply the wax. So we use a doodle bug and a microfiber pad. To me, I like it because it gets on a lot smoother, and I don't have to waste wax in areas that I know I can see that it's clearly there. And we also use a garden hose. Yeah, you know, one of the little garden planters, like, you know, when you water the plants and stuff, we use that to pretty much avoid spilling. So when you use a regular, like the bottle, or, you know, the 2-gallon bottle that it comes in, you always get a little bit of splatter here and there. Well, this controls and be able to let us put it down efficiently and equally. All right, guys, we're ready for our last coat. Another tip that I would like to add, especially when you're in a warehouse or an area that's enclosed with not very much airflow, I recommend using fans, pointing them upwards to get some air circulation in there, just because, you know, especially when it comes to summertime, the heat, moisture, condensation, depends on where you're located. I know in Georgia and South Carolina, it's very humid. So therefore, you can put wax on the floor and it take an hour and 30 minutes to dry. Granted, you're waiting in between coats. So therefore, just keep in mind and price accordingly when you have to, you know, go into these areas that have like a high humidity, low airflow circulation areas, you know. But let's check these boys out. Oh yeah, these came out great. They're ready for the last coat. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's good, Honest Guys family? I hope everyone liked this tutorial to show you the step-by-step process and how you strip and wax VCT flooring. I started from the beginning, the middle, the end. Last process is make sure that you let your client know, do not walk on the floors. They need time to cure. Granted, if you're in a bind where, you know, you have a deadline, you could always go in and buff the floors and burnish them right after you're done the strip and wax, so that way it can sustain, you know, when they have to move the furniture back, or, you know what I mean, or, you know, many different variables. But again, Honest Guys family, thank you so much for liking, comment, sharing, and subscribing. Hit that notification bell. We're on our way to 100, and then up from there, let's go to 250. And remember, you don't want this guy, you don't want that guy. You want the Honest Guys. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Yes, sir.